watching you all work and toil and come up with stuff and work on things and make stuff and all that, joke around. This event couldn't, you guys made this event. We just provided some food and some space, but you guys are the attraction here. Like, you guys are coming here for each other. You're not coming here for us. So thank you all for coming out and being a part of this. We are going to be doing the presentations and the judging now. First off, I'd like to introduce you guys to the ones who will be judging your every move. If you guys saw AJ and Kirk, you want to stand up? So AJ's with Go Brain Go. They're one of our prize sponsors, and they'll be giving you guys, or whoever wins will be receiving a bunch of free marketing hours and consulting work with them, where they'll help you get word about your project out to everybody. And they've been, I don't know if you've got anything else you want to.
Yeah, I mean, we are a strategic branding and marketing firm that is specific to working with entrepreneurs. We've done a lot in the startup space. We currently work with Jonathan's company, Lumate, as well as Top Ops, this company that you see behind you. So we are really excited. We're going to be doing 25 hours of consulting / marketing, branding, whatever you need, to basically help you get more of the word out, exactly as Jonathan said, about what you've done this weekend and what your project hopefully will achieve. So we're excited to be a part of it.
And then the other judge is a friend of mine, Kirk, who's with Lewis Rice. Lewis Rice is a law firm in town, does a lot of IP work and other stuff. They represent my pizza company too, so they're really nice. And they're our gold, I want to make sure, gold sponsor for the event. Never remember the tiers. But yeah, Kurt, if you want to say anything else.
Yeah, so I'm with Lewis Rice downtown. You've probably seen this with the building in the old St. Louis Center. We're a full-service law firm. We're primarily focused in St. Louis area, local market. We do a lot of work with startups. I myself am a patent attorney, so in the event that anybody thinks they have anything patentable coming out of this, I probably have office hours on Monday if you need to talk. So that's basically sort of what we do, and we're really pleased to be part of this. I mean, it was great fun to sponsor this and see what you guys are going to come up with.
Well, thanks guys for coming out. And so each team will be given 15 minutes to present what they've worked on over the weekend. You will have use of the projector. We've got a laptop, so if you have it on a thumb drive, you can do that. If you want to hook directly to the projector, whatever you need to do, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. You're being judged on 3 criteria, as stated in the documentation we gave you guys earlier. The first is impact. What is your project going to do for the community? Be it the St. Louis community, global community, whatever. How much is it going to do? Progress. How far into, obviously we understand you only had 48 hours, but how were those 48 hours spent? Is your project 2 weeks away from being a full ready release thing, or is it 2 years? And then to kind of counterbalance that, execution. So how well done is what you got done this weekend? I can build a car in an hour, but none of you will want to drive in it. So that's kind of the counterpoint to that. So those will be the 3 things that they'll be looking for. Does anybody else have any questions about like judging criteria or how the presentations are going to go? Anything like that? Yeah.
What's that third thing again?
Execution. So for the prize, both prizes will be going to one team. It is the marketing hours from Go Brain Go, as AJ discussed, and then also we've got a $5,000 credit for Mira Cloud, which is Contigix's unmanaged cloud space hosting solution. So both of these were specifically picked to help you guys. We want the prize to help you turn your project into something that impacts the community. So I know a bunch of, unless you're a huge geek like me, a bunch of credit hours are maybe not the most exciting thing, like woohoo, look, I won. But it'll help you guys get your thing off the ground. That's what we want to see. We want to see you guys continue to work on your projects. You guys have done amazing stuff, but we only gave you 48 hours, and we sleep deprived you, and I basically only gave you candy. So that being said, I'll have the first group come up. STL Food.
Yep. Did not know that.
like a
It is not an extremely long cord.
So you need it. What?
Probably not.
Probably not. Know what I heard?
Yes.
That's a small room.
Oh, we can do our tradition of yelling Brett if you want the side advance.
I do like that.
Okay, I'll sit down.
If you are tweeting during the presentations, by all means do so. There are two hashtags. One is the one for our event, which you guys have been seeing, the hashtag built for STL. The other is Hack for Change, and that's at the national level. We'll be doing a little exercise later to let them know that St. Louis is a thing that they need to pay more attention to. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
We're getting closer here.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to plug in?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
We'll have it back in a sec. It's just 370 screen. Hopefully.
hopefully,
Yeah.
substitute
typos in it. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
are actually still here and open. Yeah, they know it's
Actually working with some mentor. I would want to have talk with you guys at some point. And they've got a product that's got a real huge potential. Viral campaign work on it. Awesome. And part of it we looked at is even their product, half of it is marketing their name. You know, it's on t-shirts and stuff with their name just because the nature of the product is what he has. But the problem he's got is he's pitching and he's stuck in this.
Well, you got a presentation here?
$1,000.
Yeah, I've got a presentation.
I do. And I'm like,
Plug
no,
that into the other drive. You're ahead and I have to log in.
not that $1,000
Yeah.
marketing. Ask them for what you need. Yeah, exactly. So every time
those
like,
are
back
not
to you guys, sort of like, what does he
No.
need? Yeah,
Right,
what
absolutely.
kind of money is this thing going to cost?
And we end up doing that for a lot of companies because it always kind of amazes me is that most people
We can swap.
doing
Oh,
speech to be
it
like,
was installing the driver.
or how much do business cards cost? And so a lot of the phone calls that we get, inbound phone calls, are give me a ballpark of what this kind of stuff costs. We love this stuff.
And this is what it is. We looked at and said he needs to produce basically professionally done video and then try to launch a contest. That's basically what as to what it is. You know, what does that cost? We can totally see if there's anything viral. And that's just the nature of this product. It's one of those products that like go to extra good attention and like, yeah, I can totally see how
Well, and just think about it. You need to do like a dollar shave club tech about it.
Okay, what order do you need
They're
them
not doing anything revolutionary. It's a different delivery model.
This one?
With that video is what made that guy million. Period. So that's a gift. Not that video.
That's
Look at the radar for it.
It's just a scroll.
Like I
couldn't
that
add
on to that one video. We swept through.
Okay, go ahead and head up.
Hide over the
So that is your biggest idea for a business model.
All right, I think we're ready to go.
Yeah.
You ready? Run it.
So Thursday morning, actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there was a lot of things going on. Very coincidentally, Thursday morning, I happened to click on the link as you tend to do when you first get in, and I saw this little video from Kid President, and just want to play a little bit of it. No school dance.
This is terrible. Are you guys okay with this? I just found out about it. I'm freaking out. 1 in 5 kids don't even know where the next meal's coming from. 21 million. School
So
kids
basically,
receive free or
there's
reduced
somebody
price
saying,
lunch for the
no school that means no school lunch. And because 1 in 5 kids in America tap into school lunches, that's 21 million kids that during the summer may have trouble accessing food. A little bit later that afternoon, if you want to scroll down, the St. Louis County's Planning Department had Imagine STL, which was brought together about 150 different people and agencies from throughout St. Louis County, St. Louis City, to talk about some of the issues facing us, especially when it comes to not only urban poverty, but suburban poverty and some of the issues faced with that. And you want to scroll down, just scroll down, keep scrolling down. So there's 150 people in there. We had a speaker, Elizabeth Kneebone, who mentioned that during the Great Recession, the number of people living in poverty that live in suburban areas surpassed the number of people living in poverty in urban areas. That includes the St. Louis region. And so we had a lot of people interested in this, and we can just scroll through, like really just keep scrolling as I talk. So we kept talking about it, via Twitter using the Imagine STL, and pretty soon we got to a point where people started standing up and saying, we run this food clinic in this area, we run in this area, but a lot of these people didn't know each other existed and that they were happening. So let's keep scrolling through here. And I just wanted to show the discussion. And so I said, back up a little bit, could regional food pantry database for STL Food Bank and others be built at Build for STL? So I put that out there, and the food bank replied and said, yes, that would be great. Let's talk. We're actually working on something. We're interested in this. Eleanor, who's part of the Build for STL group, said, have you been working with Erin McMillan? She's involved in this too. They say that she's great. And she had actually presented on mapping food access that day, on Friday. And so I came here and said, hey, would anybody be interested in this? And one person responded to that and did, quite honestly, all the work this weekend. Got to give credit. It's like, I kind of pass it along. Aaron provided some data sets, but Narayana did all the work this weekend. So if you want to take over from here, I just wanted to lay some background on that, why we're addressing this particularly. So we're going to take a moment and transfer over a little bit. But one of the things, when we're talking about urban poverty, suburban poverty, a couple of things that came out, 80% of the foreclosures that happened in the St. Louis region did not happen in the city. 80% of them happened in other areas within St. Louis County, or most of them happened. And another presenter who came said that there's been some talking points that it may be, he's talking about like where we allocate money and different things that we can do to try and solve some of these issues. One of the main things to do is to collaborate on everything. So part of this was building a tool that a lot of different groups and agencies could use, but also be able to view what some of their neighboring agencies are doing. So, Ariana?
Yeah, thanks.
Take over from there. Thank you very much. Take it over.
Again, Bill had the idea, so can't take all the credit. I mean, the ideas matter here, and I had known Bill before, and I just came on Friday night, and I was just hearing the pitches, and there seemed to be something that I thought would be built in a weekend, and so then I talked to Bill and talked to Eleanor. I got a little input from, hey, what is food bank? I don't know how food bank, right? You live in suburbs, you don't know. So I talked to him for about an hour, just thinking, what should we do? What do we want to tackle during this weekend thing? So before I go into that, can you go to the next slide? Just give a brief intro. I'm not a web developer. I just do it as a hobby. I work in the finance area, and again, I'm saying this. I only spent about 10 hours. That's one of my pet things where I actually started a thing in St. Louis called 1000code.com. It doesn't take a lot of effort to build web apps that can do things, and you just have to build frameworks that people, tons of things have been done. You just have to bring it together. You know where to bring it together and put it together. So again, and it's supposed to be a responsive web app. So I will go through that. Going to the next one. It's focused on doing 4 things. So we'll see when I show the web app 4 things. Can we find the nearest food pantries in St. Louis based on your address? So we got the list of food pantries that the St. Louis University had prepared. I think Aaron works, no, the food bank. Aaron works for the food bank, is it?
Yes, collaborating.
Oh, collaborating. So we got the database list with the name, the address. We would still like to have more information. Not every one of them had phone number. Not everybody said when they operate, the timings and all that. Those things we just took with whatever they gave us, and there was still some data issues. I was able to push in about 40 of, they gave us like 120 food pantries. I just took 40 and pushed it through my web app. If I spend another hour and a half, I can push the rest. I just wanted to keep rolling with it. I want to get a product out. It's not, I'm not going to get bogged down by the data things. And we talk about on Friday night, hey, it would be cool if we can actually, somebody has a phone, they text to a number, and then they get back a response of the 5 food pantries near them. So we talked about it. Then when I went back Friday night, was researching that. Well, I have to buy some. Looked like I had to buy an SMS gateway. If I have to have my have somebody contact my web server, and the web server. So we did something lower than that, where I'll show you where if you put an address and your phone number, the website can send you a text. So we thought, okay, we still have to then pay for an SMS. And I looked at some cheaper options and or free options, and they didn't work with. One of the things was to use an iPhone as a modem in between your computer, and maybe use that to send the text. It doesn't. I mean, the iPhone doesn't like the Windows computer and things like that. And then one other thing is the food pantries, but we also want to make sure that somebody, if we give this to somebody, like the food bank, they can manage the list of food pantries. They can keep updating that as they go along. It should be pretty user friendly for them to do that. And then one more thing we wanted to make was, hey, we want to somehow make the inventory of food items in the food pantries public. We're still working with Aaron. How do they track? Do they even track inventory? We don't know. We just threw something together here. If people could go to the website and know their pantry and at least can see what are the food items available, or go to some other pantries and stuff. So those are the 4 things we tried to do. Can you switch to the website? How do I control it?
The invoice.
Yeah, tell me about
Yeah.
Present from the back.
Huh?
Present from the back.
Huh? Can I present in the back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This actually looks. Oh, I can't see it here. Okay, so you can present from the back. Okay, how do I move and
Hold
things?
We will make you good here. Just a sec.
Okay.
You're good.
It actually looks better here than on the projector.
Yeah, projectors never look good.
So here's where, I mean, I can type an address, any address you say. Is it 977 Washington Avenue, St. Louis? And it should bring me and say find pantry. It should bring me the list of food pantries near here. Okay, this is the Emmanuel Food Pantry. If I click on that, again, it's all powered by Google. Okay, I mean, there are APIs there, and I can go and look at it. If they have a phone number, they have a phone number. If they provide an email, I can email it to them. If they have a website, they don't have a website. This is just some, I just pushed it through just to put a website, just to show that you can do that. Or I can go to the next one. It says, oh, this has Thursday to 9 to 11:30 a.m. The data is still suspect. Why would they just open from 9 to 11:30 a.m.? I don't know. So you can go around and you can keep looking at, hey, that's 0.68 miles, that's 0.99 miles from the Washington Avenue. This is 2 miles from here. I can go where I want. Then if I want to text the pantry, it's not hardly visible here. I mean, all the blue colors and things are hardly visible. I can again say 977 Washington Avenue. St. Louis. Anyways, got a AT&T phone.
314.
Huh?
314.
314.
540.
Yeah.
1385.
Let's see. Okay. We'll see if you got anything. I told me these are the things. These are the four.
Text.
Okay, and we have to put some cleanup. The text is readable. We have to do some cleanup of the formats and stuff. And here's the pantry inventory. Again, we pushed some completely bogus data here. We took some inventory that was available on the thing. Here it shows some of the thing under the big categories, apples, beans, or cereals, or chicken. Okay, if I wanted to know in just the inner city, I just type inner there. It should automatically filter in that stuff. Just show me what I need. And so it just, I mean, it's like we have to work with them to see what kind of inventory. How are they going to track? I mean, we can enter inventory here too. It's just something that how are they going to track here?
I want to say,
yeah.
I wanted to interject. We've talked quite a bit, you know, because there are costs involved. We could push to other text phones,
yeah.
But we also were talking about like how do we make sure to bridge any digital divide? How do we make sure people that don't have smartphones geolocating it with their devices, but maybe could still use the text messaging? And we were going through different ideas of like zip codes and things like that. Actually, some of the presentations later on Metro, if people are near a Metro stop, it's like if they include that, we can say, here are the 3 nearest places.
And then I can log into this super pantry. It gives me, if I have admin access, I can add a pantry and things like that. I can go ahead and add a pantry, and it'll automatically know what the latitude and longitude based upon your address, and it'll add. And again, they've talked about, okay, I want to know which pantries accept snaps and stuff. We can create some categories and add it to those pantries. And again, we have, it's about getting the data rather than having this thing work out. It's just a contact page and nothing this year. I mean, I just wanted to show just one more thing. If I go here, this is something of an admin. I haven't put a menu there. I mean, I can go and there's one. And I can add stuff and do something with this. I mean, I can do things on that if I wanted to add some inventories and things on there. Okay, I can create inventory here. I just haven't put the things. I can create inventory what I wanted to. I can put it in the different categories, and I mean I can push it through a text file too, through a CSV file. And this is supposed to be it's supposed to be mobile friendly. It should be. I mean, if I shrink the screen, it should. How do I? It should start giving me stuff. It should be mobile friendly. It should keep adjusting so that I get a menu there. It's hardly visible on the screen though. I should be able to. Okay, thanks.
Did anybody have any questions? Judges included, anybody have questions for these guys about this?
I guess the one thing I would ask is, do you have any knowledge of this same issue happening in other cities? Not that kids are going to have a problem eating, but are the food pantries in other cities this separated, or are the majority of other cities fairly
I think part of it that was kind of came out of some of the discussions Thursday, with some of the speakers and the events that came across, is that actually in cities there tends to be a lot more capacity, and just the network has been there and built up over time. What we want to do, I think, was try and create something that's easy to use that can network new people into a system. So when you say cities, ideally it's going to be for the entire region. There's somebody here on Friday that works at a food pantry over in Illinois.
Gotcha.
And they don't know, like when emergency hit, if they're low on inventory, they don't know who they can send people to, who they can refer them to. And maybe this could be part of it. I think there's another part of it of where people can use their SNAP cards and vouchers. Not every store uses it, so kind of another part of it is, you're able to add a category as an admin within that, and one of the categories would be, well, what type of place is this? Is it a pantry, or is it a facility that accepts SNAP, or possibly some other things? I think building it to plug in more parts of it was kind of a big thing that we did.
Yeah, it's all trying to pull it all together. You just have to all stores do this. You have a store locator, they do all this stuff. So you just have to bring this from a commercial side to something like this. You just have to scroll through the web and find the stuff. These are not new technologies. We just have to use existing things, bring it together in a way that everything functions in a seamless manner. And again, as we add more categories, they should be able to check, okay, I want a SNAP, I want something else. It's like the food bank has to figure out what are all the sort of tools they want to give to the food. It's it's the thing that they have to figure out. What are the tools they want to give to people? Okay. Then it's easy to bring it together, bring it to fruition.
Yeah, and if you look at my Twitter feed, it's like they want to meet next week.
Cool.
So. Are you available?
Yeah,
okay.
In the evenings, Tom.
Okay, in the evenings. Good point.
Are there any other questions for these guys?
Just wanted to note, Brett had tweeted the URL, and if people want to look at it, looks a lot nicer on screen than on the, if you want to try it out for yourself. And it's,
I got build for STL Twitter. Yeah, so it's got a link to the site.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this screen is pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks way
looks
prettier
very
from
nice
you
on
back
the,
here.
very nice on the real.
On the real on the normal screens
Yes.
that you can go to your iPhone or something. So it should be, all things should be available. And we want to make sure it's responsive so that it's like these days you don't want to build something. And at the food bank, again, they're targeting people not with the smartphones. They're targeting people with some phone that has it could be the old Nokia phones or something. So we don't want to bring the latest tools here. We just want to make sure people can access with the phone, with the infrastructure they have. Somebody who's looking for a food pantry, it's not likely to have a smartphone. I don't think so. Maybe.
Well, I think that, and that was kind of the duality of the entire project, is having it so it's useful for the organizations themselves, but also for the individuals who may not have access to high-speed internet. Because if they do, they're probably, I haven't tested this, but they're probably not the people looking for food pantries also.
Right.
They're probably going to cut off their internet before they start going to pantries.
And we have there is a service, again, we have to do an SMS thing, we have to buy that, but there are services offering that. But the other question was, the morning we were discussing, how does a person, a normal phone wouldn't know where the location is. If they send an SMS, we have to know the address where they are. So somehow we have to enable that, think through that. Is there codes within the city we can put up, hey, if you're near this is the code you have to do.
I have some resources I can point you to, so we should meet up after this. There's a service where for like 8 cents you can ping a cell phone and find exactly where it is.
But that's the
okay,
cost part of it.
Yes.
Cost part of who's
Right.
going to bear
Right.
the cost.
But yes. Excellent. All right. Well, so next up, we'll have abandoned STL. You guys want to start setting up? And then after them will be donate STL. So just to give you that team a heads up so that once you start getting any questions, you can come back here and start doing what you need to do.
What do you guys need to set up?
Somebody has an adapter that I can borrow.
Mac adapter? You needed the adapter?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll send it.
It's not just like next year.
I appreciate it.
This is how I store laptops. This is how I store laptops.
I'm gonna grab this guy actually. Have that.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
You're my first. There you go.
So we'll go.
Yes, we can do that. And then, yeah, we should do that. Oh, we actually don't have slides. Slides, we're just going to kind of demo and then talk about it. So hopefully that works. Yeah. So we got a little hot air balloon. It's not St. Louis up here right now. It's somewhere else.
No? It's not the
You guys ready?
That's not self-count.
But so let's see if I can resize this to make that. Well, maybe I won't. I don't know.
You guys ready to start?
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can start whenever. So our project. I don't know if you want to give that introduction to you.
Sure, yeah. So this one was kind of interesting for me because I just moved to St. Louis a couple months ago, and I wasn't really aware that apparently there are a lot of buildings in the city that are not currently being used. They're abandoned. Nobody's doing anything with them. You know, they look terrible for the most part, and it's a pretty big issue. Some of them are owned by the city. Some of them are owned by investment groups or local groups like that. So we wanted to come up with a way to kind of make that a little bit more visible and to give people a tool that they could use to help identify these buildings, identify uses for the buildings, kind of come up with ideas that the community could do together and engage with either the city who owns them or whoever else does to make these buildings something better. Or, in some cases, to recognize these buildings are never going to be anything better. We need to start the process of getting them out of here and replacing them with some actual new growth. So the app we came up with, which is going to be up any minute now, is Abandoned STL. And basically it just maps all of the areas that have been identified as these sort of problematic buildings.
Yeah.
So,
and so
I think you want to do a quick demo?
Yeah, so we'll go and do a quick demo. Abandoned STL, kind of a tentative name at the moment. But to start with, we're getting all this data we got from St. Louis government website and pulled it. Some of the stuff that we have to do right now is a little bit tricky because for mapping, converting these addresses to basically latitude and longitude so that we can plot all these points is a little bit tricky. So actually what you're seeing now is currently, based on what we pulled, there are approximately 6,000 something abandoned buildings in St. Louis. What we're displaying right now is about 800. So there's a lot left to do. But you can see that essentially the idea is that you open the app and you're going to get your current location and then essentially if you see a building that you're interested in, you pull out the app, you can open it up and you can see, okay, well that's been listed as abandoned by the city. And so you can see right now we're at T-Rex and list that, and you can see all the abandoned buildings around here. So then you can click on any building, you can see who owns it, you can see the address of the building, and then you can also get more details about it. So that's kind of the basic version of it. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to read, but you can see over here that you have basically a bunch of information. We haven't really prettied it up yet, but all this information we're pulling is directly from the website, so you can get the assessed value of the building. You can get a lot of information about what type of building it is, the year that it was built. You can get some of the tax information about the building. You can get the number of a bunch of different information about it. So we do have to kind of pretty it up. We're just kind of displaying it right now. But you can also get basically who's the owner, where's the address of the owner, and information like that as well. You can get how many times it's been resold, what was the last time it was resold, and what price it was. So a lot of information about that that's pretty interesting. So from there, really the current functionality that we've implemented is a couple different things. One of the ideas that Stephen mentioned was that essentially the ability to say whether you are interested in that building, whether you think that building is something that is really worthwhile, whether it should, we should work to save it, or whether or not it's just beyond saving. So we basically have this ability, the server that we set up, that you can upvote or downvote any of these buildings, and then you can kind of give your thoughts on it. And so if I click the down button, it's kind of giving my vote to say, no, I don't like this building, I don't think it's really worth saving. Or up is saying, yeah, I think there's value in this building. So you have those two options, and then the next option you have is you can actually submit a comment about it. So you could say, I really like this building, or you can add your little whatever you think about it. So just kind of click there and submit it, and then you've submitted your comment. And then, so that's an option. And then other people who come in and actually look at this building will then see that comment that you've added, and they'll have option to add their own comments to it. So that, and then the last one, this feature that we haven't implemented yet, is basically the ability to actually take your own photo of it, and then down at the bottom here, I just have some mock data, but then we'll show all the photos that people have taken, or at least the most recent ones that people have taken of the building, or possibly have the ability to vote up and vote down the buildings. Unfortunately, the simulator just got really big when I rotated it, so I'm not sure. Let's go back here and go back and make this bigger. So you can see actually when I come back to this main view, you'll see we have a couple different icons here, and basically we're displaying our base image is just this little red image right now of the building. But then if it's green, it means that people have upvoted it. So people have come in and actually voted it up and said, hey, I think that there's value in this building. Or you can see we also have this little abandoned, kind of, it's on fire, but this building that's signifying that people are downvoting it. So the current total is that people think that it's not worth saving and that it should be gone. So if I do that and then I actually come back, let's go into, for instance, this one I've been in a number of times, and I open this up. If I can get up to the top here, you can see that I'm actually pulling these comments to this from the server here, and then we're pulling those back down every time you mention this. So it's kind of about building this conversation about the buildings as it goes, and then kind of that's kind of the first step, is kind of building this community. So that's kind of the base level set of features that we have right now in it. Going forward, we have basically a lot of ideas about ways that we can improve this and get people really interacting on it. So we have basically starting, we have some ideas which essentially when you enter the app, instead of it will show you, where you are in the city and where the abandoned buildings are, but also having the ability to see what are the buildings that are currently being the most active. So what are some buildings that recently people have commented on or people have voted on, and so you can quickly jump to the ones that are the most interesting that way. So that's kind of with that, and then also possibly being able to pull in some data on which buildings are actually scheduled for something to happen to them. So what are some buildings that are scheduled for demolition, or what are ones where the owners have actually committed to actually doing something to improve these buildings. So we have that. Then basically the ability as a user, if I see a building that I think is abandoned but I don't see it listed, potentially being able to drop a pin and mark it, as potentially abandoned, and then part of what our job would be, or would be to basically investigate that and maybe work to look at that building, contact the owners of the building, have a street team that goes out and looks at that building and verifies whether, in fact, even though the city hasn't listed it as abandoned, this is for all intents and purposes an abandoned building, and we'll list it on our map of abandoned buildings, and then we'll continue to involve the owners of the building as well to kind of let them know, because that's kind of one of the next steps of the app is having two essential features, which is one, once we get these comments, actually forwarding these comments onto the owners of the building to let them know, hey, people are talking about this building, like you need to, you should interact with us because we have users that are interested in this building. So based on once we actually do that, we can also come back in the app and let the people in the app when they open the building know, or when they open one of these pins and look at the building know, is the owner actually receptive to the comments that are being generated by our app? So maybe they're not receptive, and we can say, hey, like we've sent a number of comments, we've never heard anything back from them, and the app can tell our users that. Similarly, it would be a similar thing to do to get the ward of the building that the building is in, send the messages to your alderman or to the alderman of that ward, and again, through the app let our users know, okay, is the government actually responding to these comments or not, or have we heard anything? So similarly for that, a lot of these buildings, one of our future features as I go in and kind of look at one of these buildings, having the ability for not only just to kind of go out and send them the comments and get feedback, but it being a little bit more proactive to say, hey, we know you own this building. Would you like to add like your own story? You're the current owner. What's the story of this building? And putting that in here. So when you actually open it up, you'll get a little bit of a story from the owner's perspective about, maybe they actually do have a really good story about they own this building for a long time and, they're really sad about what's happened to it. And, you can get that initial user interaction with the owners of the building or with the government and just get a little bit more of that information as well. I already talked about basically the ability to add your own photos potentially. We had basically you can add some basic comments now, but the idea to kind of submit your ideas about what should be done with the building, which would be a little bit separate from just a comment on the building. So let's say I'm really interested in this building, I could submit an idea about what should be done with it or something I'd really like to be done with it, and then have our users kind of either comment on those ideas and have the owner be able to comment on them, and then going from there, even having the idea of potentially tying that into some type of fundraising endeavor. If that idea really is gaining traction, potentially presenting that in some type of way to raise funds to actually implement that idea. So with that, then we've got basically the idea of the heat map. The other thing to mention is I did actually, I reached out a little bit. Unfortunately, was not able to get in contact with them, but through some friends. There are a lot of actually interesting websites out there for abandoned St. Louis buildings, and a lot of people are interested in this in the St. Louis community. So for instance, my friends recommended this guy Michael Allen, who owns the St. Louis Preservation Resource Office. So I talked with him. I didn't actually get to talk with him. I texted him a little bit about it, but just looking at it, I mean, there's St. Louis Patina is a blog. Vanishing St. Louis is a blog. Build St. Louis is another blog. Urban Review St. Louis is another one. There are a lot of organizations out there that are interested in tracking this stuff. So kind of also not only that just going to the owners or going to the government, but going to these communities that are organically growing up and getting information from them, or just telling them our information and getting some information on which of these buildings do you guys are the most interested in this, and kind of involving them in the development of this app, so that way they can get some feedback, and also finding out what they think would be interesting to kind of display on this as well. So working with them to find that information out. Do you have anything else?
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of talk about a couple of scenarios that you could do right now with the app to help rehabilitate buildings, and then some things that once we build in some of the more advanced features for the future. So like, let's say right now I'm a art professor at Woolstall or something, and I want to have a space where I can show a lot of my students' work. Just have a student art gallery. Right now, I might be walking around and see a building maybe needs a little bit of work, but not anything substantial. And I could pull up the app, I could see, hey, if he's really using his building for anything, I can immediately get the owner's contact information and start the process of purchasing the building so that it's actually something useful or interesting for the community. It's the same sort of thing like if I was a startup owner and I was looking for a space. The same kind of thing where I could leave some comments, find out if anybody in the neighborhood knows anything. If I'm one of the historical people, this could serve as a little bit like Andrew said, as a clearinghouse for that information. A lot of the stuff's out there, but it's not all in one place. So this would help to kind of bring it together and make it really visible for people. So once we have some of the advanced features, obviously fundraising would be a big thing, so that less large organizations and more individuals who say, hey, I have this idea for blank, but I don't have the resources to do it myself. A lot of these buildings are going to need some pretty substantial work before they can really be inhabited. So you could then put it out there to the community. You could work with the owners. Maybe you could work something out so where you don't have to initially buy it outright. That sort of thing. And so that you can just immediately begin volunteering to clean it up and to turn it into something that makes St. Louis actually more beautiful, more enjoyable to live in, instead of just more blight. And then on the other hand, the downloading feature, we can use it to identify buildings that the city needs to look at for issues like crime, where the police need to maybe patrol more often. Once you're able to email the city, email your alderman, you can leave comments right there on the building and say, hey, I saw somebody get stabbed outside of this building last week. Maybe that shouldn't happen so often, and that sort of thing. So it's a way to identify, both the buildings that we can really start doing stuff with now, and the problem areas that the city and the community and the business community can all come together to try to rehabilitate a little bit and to improve the area.
Yeah. You go back to the page that shows the information about the building.
Yeah.
Now, a portion of this is going to be for potential developers, because for them it's all about feasibility, whether they can afford to do this. So a lot of these fields here, they're going to give them an idea of whether they should even go up to this building. And if they can, they will be able to potentially email the owner or the city and set up inspection of the building so they can walk through and see what they think.
All right. Looks like we're low on time, so I guess we can go ahead and switch to any questions.
Can you give us an idea of what the data, where it comes from?
Yeah, so this is all from the city, from last year's building inspections.
It's actually from the postal service.
No, this isn't the postal service.
Yeah, it is.
What?
Sure.
I think you had said that the city gets their information. The city marks something as abandoned based on postal service?
It's postal vacancy surveys.
Postal vacancy
yeah, postal vacancy surveys are a pretty standard way of vacancy information. Just basically means that the post office is, how long is it, 90 days?
Yeah, so I think the city marks it as, the city gets that data, but we're pulling this data directly from the city.
Yeah, they're adding stuff to it because this goes beyond stuff that's in the postal vacancy.
Yeah, all this stuff is from the previous year's building inspection.
Yeah, so yeah.
The city's neighborhood stabilization officers also, in the winter when it's snowing, they don't see people are exiting and things. They'll make edits and stuff.
Was this from GeoSet, or is there a data set?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Is there like a data set that we can build off in the future that this is available, or did you all scrape it?
No, it was available. We were able to get it in a Excel format. We'll just go from there. Yeah. Sorry.
Was this from the city's Geo site or another?
Yeah, GeoSync was that what we? Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
One of the questions that I had was, you've got different icons for being voted up or voted down. Is that just a net score? So, for example, if there's 10 up votes and 8 down votes, then it's going to be green.
Yeah, right now anything that's positive is green. Anything that's negative is red.
Gotcha.
And I think there's a lot of kind of functionality as far as deciding things. If we could maybe have more of a gradient type thing on that as well. And then just some basic features as far as being able to filter some of these buildings so you're not seeing all the pins at once.
Or maybe just the ability to see how many upvotes or how many downvotes, because if something's got 180 upvotes versus 189, there's obviously a lot more interest in that building, good or bad.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the next steps is having the trending, basically what buildings are actually trending. So what are the most popular buildings that have been commented on the most, and maybe having a table that just shows you here they are, but here's going straight to your area first, and then easily being able to jump to them.
So that's why, like, architecturally we built it so with the client server, so we can easily drop in a lot of new functionality using our API.
Cool.
Just
more comment than anything else. It'd be interesting to see how the saucer building would have gone through your site. What would that have looked like? How would people have used this to get around?
Unfortunately, like I said, I just moved here. I have no idea what the saucer building is. So I'm sorry.
That was the building that got booted up by the.
Well, yeah, that's, that's
I
like.
thought there was another guy from the restaurant. Carl?
I guess to that, I mean, because it gained a lot of attention, would there be some sort of maybe social media input? It's like, please upvote this or please downvote
Yeah.
this bill.
So yeah, and that's kind of a feature I didn't mention, but would be pretty easy to implement, which is basically as you're adding these comments, being able to interact with social media as well. Tying in those hooks is pretty standard.
You actually submit your comment. Hey, you also want to tweet this?
Yeah.
Or you want to post it on Facebook, and it's easy to drop those words and just send it.
Sure. Is there any kind of contemplation for zoning, like what it can be used for versus can't be used for?
Yes, that's actually in the data set.
Yeah. So we
so
obviously don't have a search now, but in the future that would be one of the filterable things. Yeah.
Are you guys looking at? You had mentioned like getting community involvement, like or reaching out to different groups. What about the urban splinters? Those like folks that break into abandoned buildings?
Yeah.
And
urban
yeah,
and I think some of these
exploration.
blogs are people who do that. So yeah, I think that'd be a big part.
Yeah, I think for the photo part that would be cool. Unfortunately, with the legal side of that, we couldn't be all come and trespass in these buildings and take cool pictures. It would be more just this guy submitted a picture. I don't know if he was supposed to be in there. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think on one of these, if I found it, you do have to be a little bit careful because some of these, but you have to be careful, maybe monitoring some of these comments. This guy, so comment. I was able to break in this building. I don't know if you want people describing, ways to damage the building.
Yeah. Do you have, and you may be able to tell us more about this. Do you have any liability if somebody owns a building? I mean, I don't know what their liability is to keep that building in a certain state, or whether they're basically allowed to just kind of let it sit there and say, hey, it's my building, or is this providing basically a roadmap for vagrants to say, here's buildings that people don't really look at, come stay here.
But it's from the city, so
gotcha. So the information's there.
It's already out there right now.
Gotcha.
If I were a burglar today, I could do it right now, but there's probably nothing worse to do.
And the idea is if they're actually using this app, we would forward those comments on to the owners.
Yeah.
So we're trying to engage the owners to make them get back to us. I think
sure.
Yeah. This isn't antagonistic. The owners versus the community. Ideally, they'd be able to work together. So if people are doing that, definitely let the owner know, and then they can work on whatever they need to.
Yeah.
All right.
Donate STL, you guys are up, and then GTFS Search Mirror will be the final formal presentation.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Shenanigans over time.
Across the street from my office in that apartment, and owns a number of buildings from his family, years of fire. And it's that same thing. There's only so much money and so much time to go around, and
we are
how do you work on all of
Acquire blocks, like so it's okay. I can start acquiring blocks, so I can rip the whole thing down to 100 people.
Yeah.
Had we known that we lived first. I said, had we known that we lived first.
Alright. So it turns out that St. Louis cares about more than just Carlos and where you went to high school. They also care about giving. St. Louis is actually a community that has a deeply rooted philanthropic nature. They really care about our community, and they take great strides to contribute to it. The 2012 report for the state of giving in St. Louis shows that 62% of high net worth donors cite giving back to the community as their primary motivation for giving. And so that shows that our people want to give. Corporations and foundations, they contribute billions of dollars a year to nonprofits and charities. However, individuals donate 5 times that. So obviously the amount is way bigger, as you can see by our very different. So also, clearly our charities want to receive donations. St. Louis has an amazing array of nonprofits. While we were doing the research for this project, we found some truly incredible nonprofits. We found one that provides a home for women who have been rescued from sex trafficking. We found one that rescues abused and neglected dogs. We found one that provides dance lessons to underprivileged children. We were really amazed at what they were doing, and so we thought this was the perfect step, right? Like, people want to give, and charities want to receive, so everything's hunky-dory. Unfortunately, it's not. And that's because there's an information disconnect between what the charities need and what individuals are able to give. And so we spent this weekend thinking about potential solutions. And so we decided that the right solution for this problem would be the one that is specific. We need, but the Money for Good report shows that 63% of donors want to know how exactly their money is. And so the great thing about that is that charities need specific items. They need baby food, and they need beds, and they need bookshelves, and a lot of people have those items to give, which is perfect. But unfortunately, there's not a platform that enables that information sharing. Some of these charities have lists of what they need, but it's in like a Word document on their website, and you have to like go find it and go to their website regularly, which people don't usually do. And so that brings us to, we need a solution that is immediate. And our charities need items now. If a food bank is running low on food or low on baby food, they can't just feed babies and potatoes. It doesn't work like that. And so in order to do what they want to do and to make a difference in our community, our charities need to be able to share specifically what they need right now. We also need a solution that is simple. An effective solution is one that is usable. It's easy. It's at your fingertips. It's like on your phone. And so we also saw that 84% of nonprofit donation sites, online donation sites, are not mobile optimized. And so they're really not capitalizing on, people who want to make a difference right then, or who want to give online, which is, we spend a lot of time on our phone. So an effective solution would allow individuals to do multiple requests at once. You don't have to go to your favorite charity and see what they need right then. If you have a bookshelf, you could go on and look and see if a local charity, any local charity, and finally, we need a solution that is local. St. Louisans are motivated by giving back to the community. And in 2010, 104 of the largest nonprofits reported receiving $1.2 billion in online donations. Online giving is growing at a rapid rate. Like from 2012 to 2013, online giving grew 13.5%, which means this is a huge market that local small nonprofits are not able to capture. And so we want an online solution designed for local nonprofits so that they can experience that same growth. And Karen is here to show you.
So in the last 36 hours, we have come together to build a platform called Donate STL. And we've conceptualized kind of an online marketplace for giving. This is the way the future is going for shopping. This is the way the future is going for reviews. Realistically, this is the way the future is going for everything, and charity is going to get caught up in that landslide. If you want to find a service, or sorry, if you want to find a charity that needs something, you want to be able to find it quickly and easily. So, as a charity, you want to tap into that market. The idea here is to allow charities to sign up to our centralized service and allow them to fill out their information, a title, description, and then begin to solicit donations of specific items in order to fulfill the needs that they have right now. As a donor, you can fulfill the items directly with, for example, with canned tuna. If you have a few extra cans of tuna, you can say, I'm going to give those cans of tuna right now. And you can commit to it, you can find out when and where's the best place to do it. You can simply say, yeah, I'm going to bring it. The charities know to expect that thing. Or if it's something a little more difficult, like a couch, you can actually get in touch with them and begin a discussion on how you can best get your resources to them. Alternatively, if you don't have a couch, but you know that you want, well, if you don't have a spare couch maybe, you want to give them the resources to get it, you can actually sponsor that item specifically, so you know where any money that you're donating will go to. So imagine what this really can do for giving in our society, and specifically in St. Louis. It's specific. You know exactly what items are being given, and the charities know what resources they're going to get and can plan ahead for that. It's immediate. In crisis situations or other emergencies, oftentimes people will take a guess at what a charity will need and send a lot of it. The Red Cross gets way too many bottles of water when they get in a crisis situation. So with this real-time, data-driven approach, these charities can be updating their needs live. And when you see bottles of water disappear from that website, you know, hey, let's send blankets instead. It's simple because this is a mobile-first optimized design. You can easily navigate around and you can find out exactly what you need. If you have a couch and you don't know who would need it, you can search for a couch. If you say you just want to help animals, you can browse every single donation request from charities related to animals. And it's hyper-local. This currently is focused on the St. Louis area because of the focus on giving items. You know that many of those items will be given in person. This can be replicated in different cities around the nation, or it could be expanded. But the key here is building the local community and St. Louisans, helping St. Louisans through charities. I have, yes. So that's what we'd like to build. Luckily for you all, we actually built it. So pull out your phones, everybody. I promise I won't think that you're texting. Pull out your phones and go to donate-stl.firebaseapp.com and follow along with this demonstration. Let's see if I can get out a keynote here. As you're probably already there.
Can you go back to that for a second?
Yeah, that was long. Sorry about that. Yep. One more. Yes. Now, of course, when we launch, we'll have a more mobile-friendly URL. All right, I'm sure many of you have gotten there by now, so you've seen the home page. Now, this is a fully interactive demonstration, so I encourage you all to click around, but I'm going to be leading through a couple of specific stories up front. Let's see if I can get into presentation. Okay, thank you. So when you arrive at the home page, there are a couple of ways to explore. Let's say that I have an old TV. I actually do. I'm privileged enough to be in an industry where I actually have a high enough salary to buy some luxuries like a television. So I bought a television recently, and I have an extra TV that I'm not going to use. So I want to see if I can put that to good use rather than just selling it for a few bucks on Craigslist. So I'm going to search TV, and you can actually see the entire presentation. There we go. So you can see here that a flat screen TV is being solicited at the Covering House, and you can see that they wanted to help these girls who had been sex trafficked get a distraction from their bad memories and benefit their daily lives. So I can go through and I can commit to giving this in person. Now, because they're a P.O. box and address, because maybe the charity wants to be a little bit private about where they are because of the sensitive nature of it, I'm going to ask them to contact me to work out the details of how to get this to them. And now it's fired off an email to the charity and with my information, and they will be in touch with me. Alternatively, I can browse by charity, and I can go through and say, the 10th Life Cat Rescue, I can see all of the donations from them. So they need a camcorder. That seems a little strange, right? So let's figure out why. Okay, so videos and photos of cats actually help to get them adopted a lot faster. That's really cool. So I don't have an extra camcorder, but I do have a couple extra $100. I'm going to actually sponsor. Ooh, that's kind of expensive. Even though a camcorder may cost $690, I can just donate maybe $200 towards it. And I know that as soon as some other people do the same, that cat rescue can get a cat or a camcorder to help their animals get adopted. So I can click donate on PayPal, and this will actually, assuming PayPal is online right now, take us to a donation page. where it'll go to 10th Life Cats for a camcorder. They can see exactly what this money should be spent on, and I can donate through PayPal or from a credit card. Finally, I am a volunteer for a different animal rescue, the Stray Rescue of St. Louis. And had they not already been on here, what I can do is I can log in here, so I can say Stray Rescue example.com, and I can apply to be a charity on the site. We don't have to have quite as manual of a process for all of this setup because we really want to streamline this process so that charities can get the help they need fast. So we'll go through here and we'll say, Stray Rescue helps cats and dogs. I'm going to skip most of the rest of this. And when I do that, I've now got a pending approval for a charity. There will have to be a little bit of human intervention in this because we don't want people to game the system by creating charities and asking for things that really won't help anybody. So now this request has gone into the queue for our volunteers to verify the charity is a real thing and submit that approval request. Now Beth is going to pretend to be the charity and come down to Stray Rescue. Now that it's been, what's that? Oh, 10th Life, yeah, sorry, 10th Life Cat. So they've got a few things that they need, but because I'm a foster for them, I just picked up a bag of litter for the cats to make sure that they can not go all over my house. And unfortunately, it was their last bag of litter. Luckily, 10th Life Cat, through our platform, can immediately request, and I encourage everybody to go to the 10th Life Cat page now, can immediately request that litter be donated. Did you get it, Beth? And there it shows up instantly, ready for donation, live and updated.
Is it coming from a list of like things they can select, or how they're pulling that?
There's actually the capability to build any custom solicitation, and you can close it once you've got enough, or you can reopen it and copy it if you want to create something similar. For example, cat food and then dog food can have a similar thing. Then now that I know that they need cat litter, I have an Amazon Prime subscription, so I can say I'm going to buy this on Amazon for you, and it'll be there in 2 days. This really is a fantastic way to help St. Louisans, help other St. Louisans through charities by allocating resources when and where they're needed. Thank you.
Any other questions? One of the questions I have is if I have an item and I don't, for example, know how to search for it by the name, because I would never call a camcorder a camcorder, I would call it a video camera. Is it going to be able to use some sort of kind of search functionality to say if I type in video camera, is it going to know that's close enough to a camcorder?
Sure.
To point me in the direction of the right charity?
Rich searching will come. It's a little bit tougher to do in 36 hours.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so for now we only have title
Exactly,
searches,
sure.
but rich searches would definitely be a core part of the experience because you don't always know, I want to help a cat rescue. All
Sure.
you know is, I have a spare camera.
Sure. Okay.
Worked in disaster relief quite a bit, and one of the biggest, probably everyone knows, one of the biggest problems is there's so many donations for things that aren't needed. Do you envision this being set up for disasters such as
Yes,
Joplin?
definitely.
And what organizations can you work with to make sure that there aren't competing sites?
Right. So there's really two facets to that. One is that in a standard mode, just the lack of a request tends to imply to people they don't need this item. But in a disaster mode, people are going to try to send it anyways. So in disaster mode, there would be not only the possibility to close a request, but the possibility to mark a request as explicitly not needed. So they could actually say, please don't send us any more bottles of water. Instead, please see this request for blankets instead. And the other part is getting a lot of this is going to deal with small and local charities, but getting in touch with the larger partners like Red Cross, United Way, things like that would be an important way to make sure that this platform ended information disparity between the various places to find what's needed.
So, well, sorry, and along those lines, just more of an idea, but say for instance, if someone wants to donate, but they want to donate to the Joplin tornado. So would you be able to have charities flagged to see if they're involved with that effort?
Yes.
Specifically, and so that would filter.
Yes, definitely. Planned features include both categorizing by not only what kind of work they do, such as animals or teens, but also based on events such as a Joplin tornado or Hurricane Katrina or flood of the Mississippi River.
So how easy would it be to interface into an API with another? Like Red Cross will have their own way to track all their donations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be able to turn this into like a front end where they could have their donation tracking, but then be able to push out requests and bring in information.
So the platform we built it on is API driven. So it not only has the ability for us to use other people's APIs and insert into our own database, but if they wanted to integrate directly with it, they could do that as well. Depending on their resources, we could do it with them, or they could do it on their own.
And the resources we use, the technology we use, Firebase, is totally scalable. So there shouldn't be any major changes if this starts getting really big. It should be able to handle quite a lot of information.
That's one of the reasons that we chose to be an information broker rather than an item broker. We organize connecting the charities and the people, connecting them in person or some other way, so that we don't really need to take on the legal liability of keeping donations in escrow or giving charitable donation receipts. What we focus on is really connecting the two resources, so they can do the processes they already have in place for all of that. We're focusing on the information deficit.
You looked at all sort of some of the potential logistics problems, like you comment about with certain the shelters you can't really go and drop stuff off, but you may have somebody that can act as an intermediary to go pick it up.
Sure.
Is that something where you're basically just handling it as a contact, or have you looked at the idea of saying it can be something where it's, hey, we've got another service that'll come pick it up?
Right. Yeah, there's a definite possibility for opportunity in expanding those options to help me. After you click given person, I'd like to be contacted to work out the details. There could definitely be opportunity for some sort of intermediary to tie into our system and organize that. Right now, it's just a simple messaging.
And each charity might have just like a slightly different, maybe weird setup, and that's something that they could include in their contact details when they register.
Right.
Just thinking, I don't know the name of the organization, but there's a lot of clothing boxes. So would you be able to have an option to say, based upon the charity wanted to say, please find me the local drop box, and have that.
There's definitely lots of opportunity for that.
Say with all this, getting the locations of different people, and I'm thinking like large scale, emergency shop or something. Would you be able to? I'm sure you will. So, but we'd be able to pull the information and say, wow, we have a cluster of people that want to get here, and use that as like let's designate a drop point in that area.
Mm-hmm. That could definitely integrate with the permanent drop points, and there could also be the transient drop points in situations like that.
Yeah, momentary expansion.
Kind of flash mob donation.
Flash mob donation.
Unless anybody else has further questions, we'll move on to GTFS Search Near.
Thank you all very much.
Good.
All right, we had Bernadette from Metro STL step up and give her 30-second pitch the other day for the situation where you're on the bus, you're already riding, you've got your route in front of you, and you realize that you need to stop for groceries or you need to stop to check out something that you need, a bar to go and get a drink because you had a hard day. So what they wanted to be able to do is list the route, the stops on the route, and anything that's within a certain distance that matches the query. So what we did was we leveraged open source information and APIs that were available to come up with a map. And right now it's hard-coded to look for bars based on a drop-down of bus routes that are available in St. Louis. So if we say that we want to go on, should we do an express?
Sure.
So we'll drop down and go to one of the express routes, say we want to find a bar, and it's going to come up and give us, it takes a minute, it's going to come up and give us the route that we're on, all of the stops, and where within 500 meters there is a bar for that stop. So the person will be able to tell. Now we would have to build into this, we need something to show a little more specifically where the exact stops are for each item, just a marker to display it. But we got the markers for the businesses that they're looking for the subject item, and the different routes that are available. So this information is available via various APIs. The GTFS is a set of files that are provided by transit corporations. So or organizations. Those files are available to the public, and we can periodically refresh our databases. Metro St. Louis updates theirs quarterly right now. So it's the exact same information that Google Maps uses to create their routes. But they don't have any way to specify that you're looking for something. You can look for where you are at right now, but they don't have the capability to look along your route to say, I want to get off at this stop, and I want something to be a few blocks away. So Jeremiah can talk to the APIs that we used and the open source resources.
Sure. So we use GTFS. Is there any transit hackers in the room? Has anyone worked with GTFS before? Geo people? Okay. Cool. So GTFS stands for the General Transit Feed Specification. It's basically a set of CSV files that transit agencies like that said provide to Google so that we all can be routed on Google Maps, which is great. That's phenomenal. It's a little bit of a weird data set because it's basically a relational data dump in CSVs. So there's lots of keys between the files that need matching, which is fine. And what we thought was, hey, this is a standard. There's got to be someone who's built a web API that we don't have to do. And lo and behold, there definitely is. So this repo here from this guy, Brendan, wrote a Node.js server that scrapes GTFS and then presents it in a nice API. And so actually, this API, we spun it up on a pretty accessible URL, GTFS API, Heroku app. So it's available for everybody to use. It's free. It doesn't cost anybody money except for Heroku, which is great. No one in this room has to pay money to them. So you can look up, these are all the routes. So if you'll notice, this is the API call that populates this menu right here. But then you can also go further and you can see.
A quick comment while you're typing
Yeah.
that in. This is available, it could be available for any city that provides these GTFS files. So the Metro St. Louis is the key that tells this API that we want to get Metro St. Louis data. But we can get any city's data.
Right. So I think so then what you do is 11008 maybe. So there's documentation here, and my apologies for not having it just pulled up ready to go on. Well, you can just put in a route ID here, and it'll return all the stops. So this is great because you don't have to do anything. So then what we did is we built another intermediary API, which is why there's that huge lag, that iterates through everything and hits Foursquare. Foursquare's API to find bars, in this case. Everyone needs a good beer. Around the stops, and then presents that back. And then this map is just leaflet. And so all this, I mean, if you look at the total number of lines of code that we wrote this weekend, it's probably on the order of 300 maybe, not even, less than 200, 117 plus 62. So we really leverage a lot of other open source stuff. And then the process came out with a really cool API that anyone can use to build bus apps in St. Louis.
And do we still have where you can click on the venue and see the name?
Right, so then from Foursquare, it'll basically pull up the name. So you can imagine there is a lot of interface improvements we can make to this. We can add stops, for instance. We can add time estimations so that when you get off of that stop, you know actually how far one is. Of course, you probably don't care about grocery stores or bars that you already missed as you're traveling along the route. So we'd probably want to take those things into account. But in
So
the
we would look forward only from where you're looking.
right, which is totally possible with the data we have. GTFS provides a heading, a directional. So these are all things we could do. We just ran out of time. But that's basically what we came up with. So in summary, and it's all on GitHub, it's a client app, an API intermediary that handles the interaction with GTFS and Foursquare, and then this publicly available GTFS API.
And we can play with some things to speed it up. So with our data and how we pull it, one of the ideas would be currently we're not really storing that data. So we can go out on a periodic basis and refresh the data. Those venues aren't going to change. Those routes are changing quarterly or based on a particular city. So we can just go ahead and store the routes until the next change that comes up.
Right.
So it'll make things much more rapid than they are.
So that's it. Any questions? Yep.
I'm sorry, are you specifically pulling it from a certain distance of stops, not just along the route?
500 meters
Okay,
from
the stop.
specific stops.
And specifically
so we're
every
going
stop.
through the stops, every
Yeah.
stop that's available on that route, and pulling what is within 500 meters of that stop.
Yeah.
I know I've been searching for a house recently, and I imagine it was going to be part of that. It's really difficult to search real estate. I think there's opportunity here to tie this into real estate searches as well.
I
So I can
definitely
search
can
for,
see that.
I only want to walk 5 minutes to a Metrolink or Metro bus stop from the house on the balcony.
Right, right. For
What's that?
example, there's the MLS listings available, and you could go by address and location for the houses that are available.
Yeah, I mean, you could use this API. I mean, but also from this, so what's cool about this API is we can scrape it in probably an easier format than having to scrape relational CSVs. So what we could do, though, is pull this out and build up, in essence, a shapefile while it stops. And we could do spatial queries on that to kind of answer your point. So I think this API is cool to build off of. Like, we made a little bit of design concessions using it because it's someone else's code. But in essence, the cool thing to me is that it's HTTP, so anyone can now scrape GTFS data and build up whatever they want around St. Louis Metro transit information.
How hard is it to change it if the Metro decides to change the stop locations or, and
we don't do any
pull
of
it
that.
off,
Yeah.
nothing. Those files are there. The API picks up those files. We just have to make sure that there's a call to pick up the files. So if they're changed, it's done.
So there's a site called GTFS Data Exchange, which I'm not sure exactly how they get this data, but it seems pretty complete transit agency list across the world. And St. Louis Metro is part of this. So that's what's cool too, is that this API is totally extensible. Like, I'm from San Francisco, so when I go back, I can put in one line, literally one line of code in the configuration file, and this entire app can work for San Francisco.
The GTFS exchange is publicly, nationally available, and all of the agencies supply their own data.
Right.
Cool. Cool, guys.
All right. Well, I gotta say, guys, I am like damn proud of what you guys did. I was dumbfounded. Every single one of these, I was like, oh man, that's amazing. We're gonna give the judges some time to kind of process that. They'll probably sneak out at some point and talk to each other. But I also wanted to give you guys, because you guys have been pretty nose to the grindstone, and we've been doing a lot of other stuff this weekend. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a, while you were hacking, overview of what's gone on as part of Build for STL this weekend. Stuff that the reason that we keep disappearing for a few hours and then we come back and we're all sweaty and cranky. So I'm going to go through this. There was a lot. I will try to talk about each thing, and I ask that any of the event organizers at any time chip in. If I bring up an event and I'm like, I don't really know about this one, and you were there, hop up, talk about it. If I forget an event, please pop up, talk about it. But we started, well, actually we started with Eleanor's thing earlier this week. Yeah.
Yes. I'm just going to carry up this so that I get all the numbers right. So, so actually, we have one event that started at the beginning of May. So Open Data STL throughout the year has been holding edit-a-thons to improve OpenStreetMap. So OpenStreetMap is used as a base map in all sorts of web applications. Some of you used it today. And right now, there's not a lot of active St. Louis mappers correcting, adding neighborhood assets, etc. So we had a month-long contest, team contest, to see who could make the most edits. Over the month of May, most of the edits were made this weekend, but over the month of May, between our teams and then our organizers, whose points didn't count, we had a total of 3,220 edits to OpenStreetMap. And there were 9 brand new OpenStreetMap mappers who had never before used it and ended up adding a bunch of cool stuff. And it was everything from neighborhood arts collectives to the Stagger Inn bar in Edwardsville to one-way streets being corrected. And it was just really great. So we have a trophy for the winning team, which was Inglorious Mappers. And they made almost 400 edits. And there, Chris. Chris can accept. So please accept this honorable award. Your team name is on the old mouse. Thank you for your contributions, and your teammate was Michelle, Mickey or Michelle, who I don't think is here right now. But thank you
so much. Thank you.
You have to show it. No, come closer.
For those of you that aren't
Okay, bring it down a bit.
OpenStreetMap, it's kind of like
There you
Google
go.
Map API, but it is open source, so anybody can
Okay,
make
I got
edits.
you.
And unlike Google Maps, you can use it for free. So there are tons and tons and tons of apps and websites and tools that all use it instead of Google Maps because it's free to use. Waze, which I use to get around, is one of those. So those 3,000 edits are going to be propagating through thousands of websites and mobile apps and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we started Friday night with that, and I'm looking at the schedule on my little phone. We had in the morning. All day yesterday, UMSL was kind enough to lend us several speakers that gave training sessions on social media topics and tech topics. I don't see any of those here. I know you guys gave a training session. But thank you, UMSL, for sending those folks. We had talks about LinkedIn, SEO optimization, information security, things like that. We also had the Digital BioBlitz was a very large event. The Academy says, do you want to talk about that? You kind of spearheaded this one.
But I'm not very loud. Actually, I'm not big enough. So the Digital BioBlitz was sort of an idea to get youth, students of different nonprofit organizations around the city involved. And so our idea was to take a couple of different disciplines, different areas for students who are learning about the sciences and STEM fields, and bring them together. So what we had was we took the Academy of Science students and the Learning Center students, so they're people learning about biology, chemistry, and combining with people who are learning about technology and code, and asking them to and having them work on 2 different components that come together as, in the end, a functional project application. So what the students did was they spent in the morning, they spent time going out with GPS units provided by Washington University, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, and Seiler Technologies in order to map the biodiversity of Forest Park. And so for that we had participants from both nonprofits And then they went to the Youth Learning Center, and we transferred all the data over there, and they worked with volunteers from Open Data STL and Esri in order to create an application, an interactive method of looking at that data, that biodiversity data for Forest Park, right around Deer Lake, Savannah, in order to just show those things in a public format, just all the data that they spent that morning collecting, really being displayed in a way that makes it public and interesting, and is something that they can show in the future to potential mentors or internship or employers or folks who can give them further education in these things. And I've heard that it was very successful in encouraging a lot of these kids to become geographers in the future, apparently. We had around 50-something attendees at the Youth Learning Center, and I'd say right around that at the Forest Park event as well. So thank you to everyone who was involved in that. It was incredible, and really hoping to do something like that for the kids next year.
Also yesterday morning, we had a partnership with Urban Harvest STL. Urban Harvest does community gardens. I believe they've got 2, one of which is on the parking garage for the old T-Rex. If you guys know where the T-Rex was before, like an old Macy's building, parking garage across the street, there's a garden on the roof. Because there's this like awkward part of the parking garage that nobody ever parks in because like it's really hard to get in and out of. So they just put a garden there. And so we had about 35 volunteers. I'm waiting for the final number from them, but they said roughly 35 people came in, worked on the garden, learned about like what it took to get this set up and that sort of thing, so that hopefully some of those 35 will go and create community gardens elsewhere. Community gardens are, you know, important. I mean, they're pretty. It's nice. Like as someone who uses that garage, it's nice like seeing plant life on the roof. And as someone who lives 2 blocks away, it's cool to get tomatoes. So they're a great way to bring a community together. So we're very proud and very thankful to Urban Harvest for working with us on that. They pretty much did that entirely without our intervention. I basically just contacted them like, hey, can you do it? And they're like, done. So that is my favorite type of event. Yesterday afternoon, Bill, you were at the Pulitzer Foundation for the Arts.
Very briefly.
Okay.
Long enough to take a picture.
Okay. So the Pulitzer Foundation for the Arts had some speakers, and they did a workshop on overcoming creative blockages. So anybody who's dealt with like writer's block or has been trying to design a logo and has just like stared at a screen for like, you know, hours. They did a workshop with some local artists about how to overcome that and how do you get past that. They said they had 8 or 9 people show up, which is they said was optimal for what they wanted. They didn't want a lot of people. So they said that was a great fit. There's enough people to have a good discussion, but not enough where it's getting bogged down. So we also had, yesterday afternoon, I was lucky enough to go see The Human Scale over at the MX Theater. The Human Scale is a documentary about urban planning and how you design cities for long-term and especially for human growth. We'll talk about like how we design our cities around cars, and that makes all the people unhappy. And we had some city planners that Eleanor managed to find, researchers and planners and things like that, who then had a panel discussion. And there was a lot, I know several of you were there, and there was some great discussion about topics that came up in the movie and just stuff about St. Louis and like why are the roads situated this way, or can we, what does it take to get some of the things that we saw in the movie that were really cool, how can we start getting that type of thing done in St. Louis? So, I know there's more. Yes, so this morning we also had a training session about Community Commons, which is a great mapping resource of data for just like health concerns, and just a bunch of different mapping. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to sit through much of it, but mapping resource. Actually, do you guys want to real briefly give, now that we have the captive audience, everybody's awake?
I can give our
Yeah.
Community Commons is an online resource of tens of thousands of data layers that we get from all kinds of sources, parent, community survey, FIRST, USDA, and you're able to overlay different types of data on top of each other in order to kind of, our main motivation is to be able to tell a story about a community. So if you have health disparities or crime issues or vacancy issues or food issues, we have lots of food desert data. Those kinds of things, you're able to do that quickly, visually, and be able to tell your story. So, communitycommons.org.
I learned the food desert term. I'd never heard that until I was up here while you guys were talking. So yeah, it's a really neat resource. I'm going to be taking a look at it later because my company's going to use it to like show ads to people because it's how we roll. And then we got some presentations and stuff from you guys. Yeah, you guys talked. So thanks again for coming, everybody. Thanks again to our sponsors. Do you guys want a chance to talk? Brett wants to talk about the Code for America Brigade.
Our design sponsors.
Yes. Yeah. Tara was she wasn't here earlier. We thanked all the sponsors earlier, but Tara was nice enough. All of these very nice banners that we hung up with the logos and did all of that for us, and it was. She's great. We had a lot of like last minute, like, oh yeah, by the way, and she's been great working with us, and we're really looking forward to taking this out at all of our meetings and bringing it to future Build for STL events. She's been phenomenal. So thank you very much, Tara, for working with us. Yeah, and then while the judges are out conferring. Brett, if you want to talk about Brigade.
Sure. Well, I don't have a drink.
Sorry.
All right. First off, how many of you were here when Jeremiah spoke earlier? Okay, we had about half of you. All right. Well, one more question here, then. How many of you are familiar with Code for America? On the same people here to speak. All right. So I'll give my interpretation. So basically, Code for America is a nonprofit organization, kind of developed out of the vision that if you really want to get a handle of it, look for the TED speech by Jennifer Polka. P-H-O-K-A. And the idea of this is, and I'm in government. Those who don't know, I work for St. Louis County Emergency Management, part of the county police department. And I can tell you right now that there is not enough of us to do everything. A lot of times, in fact, oftentimes it's cheaper to buy technologies than develop it. But when you buy technology, one, there's a lot of procurement processes to go through. And two, it doesn't always exactly match the needs you have. You have to start hacking some pieces together to get what you want. Well, there is a lot of expertise outside of government, you know that. And oftentimes people really want a way to help their community. That's why things like urban harvests, the popular Habitat for Humanity, different types of charity groups. Well, especially when we're talking about the people here in this room, I'm sure some of us can use a hammer really well, but we're really good with different type of hammer. Our capabilities to design, build, to create software, to pack hardware together, to do the things that we saw presented today that were amazing for the time frame that they've been built with. So Code for America is kind of formalizing that concept, saying here's a national organization, national nonprofit, where we're going to take all this energy, all this talent, and connect citizens with each other, connect citizens with their government, create better engagement, better transparency, get access to the data people need to help answer these questions. It's a project I did that got some attention at one point as a government employee. Actually, does anybody here live in St. Louis County and think your siren's too loud? Okay, good. But I can say I'm the person that designed that siren system.
I'm actually glad the county moved the siren that was
at the entrance of our neighborhood down to school down the road.
Yeah, because it's actually easier to put sirens on government properties. That's why I said this is cool. I know all this now. But we really didn't have the time, especially, and the resources to go out and hire consultants. So I went ahead and learned how to do outdoor sound design. I learned how to model terrain for that. I learned everything I could about how you place a siren, most of the loose back in the 1980s. I was really glad to be able to do that and optimize that design. It also took 6 months of my life, as that much time as government work. In reality, it's like costing half my salary, something like that, when you think of it like that. So that expertise is out there, and maybe we don't have siren designers in the group here, but we have all sorts of other types of designers in the course that can bring that expertise. Would be so hard to find in the limited resources of government, and be able to create these mechanisms to connect citizens to the problems they want to solve. So hopefully that's giving an idea for you of why something like Code for America isn't just a great thing, it's almost a necessary thing. We're actually tackling this huge, massive community problems from all sorts of different angles, not just the angle of one or two people who work on the problem they can take job are working on. So that brings us to the idea of the Brigade. The Brigade facilitates this communication. It connects us all together, takes our community, and don't mistake it as just a tech community. It's not just a bunch of coders and developers. We've got a lot of those here. We need the people who can have those ideas, who can have that insight, who can have the design. People who can tell stories are very important. People who provide outreach. People who know where to find other people. Last year's winner was, I won't go into the whole application, but one of the critical aspects of it, and it basically helped people, as I say, not burn up their hard-earned cell phone minutes when you need to find shelter when you're homeless. It was very critical to be able to keep those minutes full on your phone, to contact the agencies so that you could find where you could sleep. Earning 30 minutes a day is a tough thing. Being able to bring that down to like 5 minutes is very important. The reason they knew about this problem was because at the OTRX building, one of the janitors had actually been homeless. He knew what the problem was. He knew how to tackle it. That connection is necessary too. He wasn't a developer, he wasn't a coder, but he knew the problem and understood it. So that's part of the Brigade as well, is to take all of us here, have this community so that we can put our talents to use to tackle community problems and build community. Be able to put on things like Build for STL, big event with all these different events going together. So, really, I'll say this, Jeremiah, you were talking about launching Saturday. Today's the official launch. Today we are officially launching. We put in all our documentation. We are officially a Code for America Brigade. And if you ever look at the names of the brigades, most of them have names like Code, like we call it County Code for St. Louis, or we'd be Open St. Louis. We chose Open Data STL. This is a name we've actually had for a year as we've been working towards this goal, to emphasize that we are especially opening up this democratization of information, making it easier for people to find the information they need to answer the questions they want to answer. So along with this idea of openness, there is 3 things I'm asking you guys for help with. So right now we have Bill's pulling up our website here, probably. No. He doesn't know how to get to the documents I'm going to mention, but I'll get those up there soon. So we have a 1-year plan that we're going to execute, a strategic plan, and then also we have built a city profile. What I want everybody in this room to help with is changing these documents around. So the plan is built from things we discussed over the past years, even our initial planning meeting a year ago, and what we know about the city for city profile. We're going to have these up on Google Docs, tweeting out the links. We want everybody here to help hack away at those. We have a plan now for the next year. I expect 2 months from now for that plan to be different. For one thing, I didn't put anything about apps in there because I'm not going to do apps. You guys are. And we're going to put together this community-driven plan for how we're all going to work together, how we're going to interface with citizens, government, to build what people need, and help people have a better community. And so that really was the main thing I want to get to you guys today is we've got the venue, we're ready for your collaboration. Now we're looking towards everybody here, everybody listening online, to help fill in this plan, get the strategy together, and keep this organization going. Things coming up. One, the edit-a-thons, because I love OpenStreetMap. You guys should love OpenStreetMap too. We're going to keep going with quarterly edit-a-thons, one of our big plans. How many thought that this event was impressive this week? Because from an organizational perspective, I was pretty impressed by what all of our volunteers did and what all of we did. So, that said, we can go bigger, right? In order to do that, we'll need a lot more people helping organize, because otherwise we'll all die as organizers. But we've got the structure, we can make this an annual event, we can keep expanding the scope of this to get more and more of the city, county, and region involved. That's going to be one of our big things to plan for. I think planning starts in about 3 weeks from next year. Yeah.
He's not even joking, yes.
Yeah, about 3 weeks. How many people found side projects to work on this week? Like not necessarily one of the ones we presented today, but at some point just said, I want to work on this, I want to build this. Hey, I want to see if I can find this data set. Yeah, I'll tell you, I got side projects. If you look at St. Louis Co. on GitHub, that's actually a side project of mine. I'm trying to take a bunch of data sets and push them to GeoJSON, TopoJSON. Working with Socrata to publish data sets. Yeah, this is something all of you can, these are types of side projects we can do. So to that end, next February, another event that we're going to focus on is Code Across America, now called Code Across. And rather than being so much a hackathon, one of the ideas of Code Across, and this year we kind of had a very neat online discussion for it, because to put it all together in like 2 days instead of 3 months, would be to code. Get out there, open data sets, deploy apps, just hack away for like 24, 48 hours on everything we can find. And then day to day, we want to do that as well. Remember, there's events all across St. Louis. How many have been at Code Until Dawn? Small handful. So Locker Dome, last Friday of every month. We meet last Tuesday of every month, by the way. So sometimes Code Until Dawn's after, sometimes before. We can start meeting up there to hack away on civic data and build apps. There's Python STL, Brian Hicks back there, St. Louis JavaScript, and those are just the ones I know. Got lots of good meetup groups out there working on things. Start bringing the idea of civic innovation to those groups as well, those projects to work on. And of course, well, there's our meetup page there. And we do have, of course, our wiki, Open Data STL. I'll flip back to that one. And that's the last thing. See these buttons over here? There's a very important one here, Add Data Source. So there's data all over the place. There's lots of public data out there. Sometimes it's in great formats, sometimes it isn't. That's one of our central ideas, is to find this information, how you get a hold of it, who you have to talk to, whatever it takes, and document it, creating our own comprehensive meta-wiki kind of, so that when you have that question, you go, I want to answer this civic question. I want to know how to find out all the bus routes. I want to know where crime is in my community. I want to find out where abandoned house data is. You don't have to search for it throughout all sorts of different resources. You have a spot to go to that will actually guide you to the location to be able to do that. Now, so one last part I wanted to do today is ask for questions, concepts, and what you want to see done and what questions you have.
Yeah, I just have one question. Mayor Slade was here and it was awesome. But what is his initiatives? Is there anything he wants to sponsor?
I didn't hear what the first part was.
Mayor Slade was here. It was great to see that he participated in this event. But as a government leader for this area, is there any initiatives that he would like to focus on?
I haven't answered.
I know I can't speak. We can't really speak for Slade, but there are some that we know the government has talk to us about the past. Unification is a big one. Better Together STL will reach out to us. There's a huge, basically pretty much everybody has a gut reaction to whether the city and the county should become one, whether it's positive or negative. And what we're finding, Better Together has been finding is that these are gut reactions, that most people do not have the reasons or facts behind them. They just like immediately have a gut like, oh, no, or yeah. And so they're trying to create a lot of discussion, and they're looking for ways to educate people on the pros and the cons, so that we can have an educated discussion on this topic. That's one.
Well, one thing I'll point out that I know is that both St. Louis City and St. Louis County are showing a lot of push towards opening up data. I think some of you have seen the Open Data Portal City, which has a lot of information in it. We can improve that. There are improvements coming down the line, I know of for those. But being able, especially as developers, to provide guidance like, hey, this type of API would be very effective for us, this type of information. But that is an initiative being worked on. St. Louis County is doing a lot of work on that in terms of where we're going next with open data policy and how we're going to open up that information. I know there's someone going to come in probably about 3 months.
Yeah, right. We're basically putting together a data portal.
Yep. For those who don't know him, Mike Duncan, the CIO for St. Louis County, so not quite my boss, but someone who's above me that I work with a lot. As you can see, there's a reason he's here today, because we definitely like this kind of stuff.
Digitizing information is also another big one. I know there's at least one government or one city department that has one physical copy of their budget, and that is it. Which is terrifying to me as a citizen. That with like one match, I have an entire department that doesn't know how much money they have. So that's a big problem, and that's something that we could definitely work on with them. Is give us the binder and let us put it into an Excel document for you, or at least let me take it down to Kinko's and make a copy.
One lesson I learned is that open data is cheap. So it takes time and labor, and in that case, that equals expenditures in order to take something like a physical copy and turn it into a digital copy in order to create interfaces. So it could ultimately help with that cost, especially that cost of labor. It allows government to do things that maybe can't prioritize over things like roads and such, even though they should. But it's making that easier to do by helping out with things like that. One last, I'll let Bill mention too, something in a moment. Well, actually, go ahead. I'll finish with mine.
Well,
judges talk.
There's one reason I'm kind of frozen on this page. We have a build for STL. This is on the meetup site for Open Data STL. And right below it, there's the monthly meeting. And I see Brett is confirmed for next week and everything. But I think as a challenge to everyone in here, because there are so many really awesome projects that were worked on, if we can commit to ourselves, look within your heart, and the person you work with this weekend, it's like, I would like to see everyone to come back to next month's meeting, contribute some more ideas, but then hopefully also report what's happened since this weekend. Who have you worked with? How have you improved on things? And just kind of report out. 30 days later, what is it? 4 weeks later?
This is just an auto description too. This will change.
Yeah. So I know I have the app on my phone. So this should update.
So one last thing for city and county to mention. So you heard about the work of Jeremiah Kimmelman in Chattanooga as a food program development. So we made a huge push this year. Had lots of interested people from inside the city and the county get together, and we built our application to have fellows come here. I worked on it, but I'm still impressed with it. It is, there's a copy of it up on Mayor Slade's blog if you want to read over it. But that's one goal we'd like to see is to bring a team of fellows in here and work with them. Basically, they're top-notch people in their fields. They receive a lot of training to help with this stuff. They can help bring training to us, but at the same time, show them, bring fellows here and show them what we can do. Because it's not just the fellows come in and do all this work and then leave and whatever happens, that happens. Ideally, they come in, help push some work. We create a sustainable community that keeps everything going, that takes apps like we built today, gets them deployed, get them in use, keep them running. That's one of our ultimate things to do, and that's another joint initiative that we're going to see coming forward in the next year. So thank you very much for listening to me go on and on about civic innovation. I think I've delayed long enough for our judges, it looks like.
Actually, I'm going to delay them for 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Yeah, I know it's something you guys wanted. So, like Brett said, I know a lot of you guys have worked this weekend, created a tool, or found an API, or started planning for an event. You worked on something that is in line with Build for STL, but was not ready to be submitted as a project, either because it was a relatively small thing, or you're like, oh, it's going to take me 3 months. I'm going to back burner this for now. We still want to hear about those. Those are an important part of this event. And so I'm going to put 5 minutes on my stopwatch thing here, phone. I want you guys, we're going to have kind of an open mic section. I want you to come up and talk about something you created, something you discovered, anything like that. And while we are listening to this, I want you all to, everybody's got their laptops or their phones with you. Go ahead and open those up. I want you to go into Twitter. There are 2 hashtags that are important. Build for STL is the hashtag for our event. Hashtag Hack for Change is for the national event. So far at national level, they respect St. Louis. We have not yet taught them to fear St. Louis. So during these 5 minutes, I want to see how many tweets we can get out with those hashtags, explaining what we worked on and what we learned this weekend while working on all this stuff. So 5 minutes on the clock. Anybody who wants to come up, go. You don't even have to come up, just stand up and talk.
At the beginning of the weekend, we had a problem where we saw a bunch of data sets that we had available, and we were like, these are CSVs, where do we put them? Or this is in an HTML table, where do we put it? So over the course of the weekend, and I haven't been running around like a crazy person, been sitting down and working with a Python API called Pandas, and I built an HTTP server for it. So what you can do with this, you run the software, you put your data on it, and you can do anything with it. You can run aggregates, you can create plots, you can filter in any format you really want, get it in and out, and it's available right now on github.com/project/koalas. Why not koalas?
Have a JavaScript library called Leaflet that lets you make those kinds of maps like Google Maps uses. I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet, but I definitely want to figure out something to do with it.
My name is Arthur Crawford. About 2 years ago, I came up with a way of getting trees from LiDAR data across the city and county of St. Louis. And got about 3.5 million trees. And I've had this database sitting around not doing anything. So I gave it to Open Data STL, and the people at the Metro are looking at now, thinking that they can use it for solar radiation for figuring out bus stops and how much shade they do. I think that's something I'd like to see. Thanks.
Well, I guess I got a few minutes to mention. Let's see here. Last year, I did work on a Ruby project that took data from National Weather Service to pull up storm reports within the St. Louis area. My dad kind of works in the roofing industry, and much of his leads pretty much sends him out to Wentzville or Warrenton or who knows where else 50 miles out of town. This this allowed him to look for jobs, was it within 10, 15 miles of the office. So hoping to redevelop that soon. Now, it links to this project, obviously. And this has been a great learning experience.
Based on discussion at the documentary, Eleanor and I have been working on, we've discovered that while there are public forums for you to talk to your government and let them know what you want, nobody knows when they are because they're spread across like 400 different websites and they're super annoying to find. So we've been working on doing an RSS aggregation and Twitter bot so that you guys can just subscribe to a Twitter feed and receive notice on all of the town hall and public forum meetings in the St. Louis area at the local city and
Your voice SQL is going to be used.
Yeah, it doesn't work yet.
There's just nothing there.
So yeah, last year I did a prototype of it, but I wanted to create a game kind of that was exploring the idea of wealth, income disparity, kind of in the world at the time, but basically by kind of plotting the data of wealth and income disparity in a lot of cities around the world and allowing you to see how changing different policies at different levels can affect wealth income disparity. It was kind of an action game, but it was really, I didn't get too far. That was pretty interesting.
I just want to thank the diversity we had here. Some of the diversity we had is programmers. We also had people who are not so technical. But I just want to focus on people who are not so technical. The reason I asked for projects that are available is so that you can help the not technical be a little more involved by identifying the problem, doing a little bit of research to help streamline the development process, and to also assess maybe the needs or future growth of that project. So if you do, it would be nice if people would identify projects for this effort, for upcoming events.
I'm coming up again with the youth center. We showed them a lot of things with mapping technology, and one of the things we found is that the person in charge of it had a desire to have the software we were using at his site. And last week, our company president said he'd given out the software to any K through 12 schools. So we'll be able to do that through software.
Very good.
So the timer is going off, so we're going to stop that because otherwise we'll be here all day. But thank you guys you guys have made a definite difference this weekend. And I hope you guys all see that. I hope you've been able to see all the cool projects, both the submitted projects and also just even the side notes that, you know, that 5 minutes when I can't stand to look at my main project anymore has been useful to St. Louis this weekend. I want you guys to recognize that. So on that note, I would like to call up our judges so they can share.
Yeah. What you got?
So, yeah, you guys would like to share?
Okay. Well, I mean, first and foremost, thank you for having us and allowing us to judge the work that you've been working so diligently on for the last 48 hours. It's really awesome to see the kind of stuff that goes on here and how hard you've gone at it. We do have to nominate one person as the winner, but we definitely want to encourage everyone to move forward with your apps because it really took quite a conversation to figure out who should win, because all that we did, incredible work that we see, not only making an impact in the community, but also could easily be spun up into companies or add-ons to other applications. So.
This organization reiterates that same point, so my tweet fly up there with the Jesuit. Our comment was we want to see all 4 of these. We don't want to see just 1, 2, or 3. We want to see all 4 of these. I think they're all great ideas. They're all very interesting applications. But again, we had to pick up one winner, and so we tried to go through the qualification criteria to work out who that is.
Yeah. One of the big things that we had to be aware of is removing the quality of the presentation from the actual project itself. The 3 things that, as John said earlier, that we are really responsible for looking at is the impact. What kind of impact is it going to make on the community, both in St. Louis and then on a larger scale? The execution as far as is it working, has it moved along, is it doing what we hope that it will, as well as progress. How far through the project did you get? And so those are the three things that we really used as our criteria.
Can you do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think without further ado, to stop keeping you guys in suspense forever, I think we've both came to the conclusion at the end, the winner is Donate to STL.
Congratulations. All right, so we have to do cheesy photo op stuff. AJ, if you want to
sure
on your behalf, and we will do this for TJX. Yeah, there are so many cameras to plug. All right, you good? Okay, cool, awesome. So thank you guys very much. I will get in touch with Carrick because I have his info already to let you guys know how to redeem the Contigix thing, and so we can talk to you guys. We'll also probably be reaching out to all the other teams as well to see what we can do to help you to finish developing your projects. Because like I said, I was dumbfounded at what you guys were able to accomplish this weekend. So thank you all very much. So. All right. Well, if you guys could, that concludes our things. Yes.
I'm sorry. Impromptu, but can we just say round of applause for John and Brett and all the.
Thank you guys. The entire team has been great. I know Brett and I are the loudest, but they did most of the work. So, so thank you guys very much for helping us and for making this. This is we had 30-ish people last year. It looks like we have to tell you the full numbers, but it looks like we were around 600 this year. So yeah, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you guys to do it again next year. Like septuple 20, whatever. Is there a word for 20 times?
Yes.
We're gonna keep. We're just gonna keep. Let's just keep increasing by orders of magnitude until everybody else gets up.
Every year.
So. And do you guys have anything last?
So in 3 years, the entire Metro region shows up.
We might need to build a building.
I don't know.
Simply put, we couldn't do it without folks, participants, attendees, volunteers. We had a lot of people that we didn't get an opportunity to thank just in this presentation. So we'll just keep having to we'll spend the next 3 weeks thanking people. But of course, tell your friends. This is on the books for next year, of course. And you know, as long as we keep the momentum going, we're going to make some really big happen. And I just want to say, these guys have all been really creative to work with, and they've come up with excellent ideas, and it's taken a lot of work to execute on them. So I want to repeat what Bill said, which is we really do need everybody to get involved. It was hugely fun. I don't want to do it again when we did it. We need more people, so would appreciate it. And all the ideas, you know, it will make a difference. It's like momentum, so that's, you know, we're just gathering moss here. It's going to roll.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And go home, shower, eat, take pizza and donuts. Please.
Yes, take food with you, third floor.
Anything that doesn't get taken or eaten, we're gonna, I don't know, draw a bird somewhere.
If you have the energy to, feel free to stick around and help us move chairs. Thank you.
I am winning. Thank you. I appreciate you stepping up late so you have no. I'm sorry. Notification part. I was actually over it cool. It was just awesome. I've been in. You like it?